Welcome friends, myself Shoptapurni from BioLive. Hope all of you are doing well. Merry Christmas to all of you. See, in this period of time, we are not in the mood of studying. So today we will learn about a lightweight feathery chapter, okay? The structure of feather. So let's begin. See, every bird possesses feather. Some birds can fly and some birds cannot. What is the feature of a feather that makes a bird to fly or not to fly? Okay, so we will learn that today. See, feather is an epidermal structure or exoskeleton of birds. So what does the word epidermal structure means? The epidermal structure means you know that the skin consists of two layers. The epidermis and the upper or surface layer epidermis and the inner layer of dermis. The epidermis consists of four layers in case of birds: the stratum basal, then the stratum intermedium, then the transition layer and the stratum corneum. So see here, if I draw, if this is the epidermis and this is the dermis, okay. Dermis usually consists of many blood vessels, then smooth muscle cells, nervous endings, okay. Many blood vessels are present in the dermis. Whereas the epidermis has four layers. I have already told that the lower layer of stratum basal. Think this is the stratum basal layer. After that, there is a layer known as stratum intermedium. So this is the stratum basal, SB. This is the stratum intermedium or SI. Then there is a layer known as the transition layer. Okay, this is the transition layer. And at the surface, there is a layer of keratinized cells. Okay, this is the layer of keratinized cells known as stratum corneum. The cells move from this layer, the stratum basal, to the stratum corneum and becomes keratinized. And in the dermis layer, I have already told that there are many blood vessels, nerve endings, smooth muscle cells. And during brooding season, what happens? This dermis layer becomes very much vascularized near the portion of the bird's breast. Okay, so that warm blood can come in close contact with the incubating eggs. Okay, so what is the point here? The point is the feather of a bird is a exoskeletal structure and it is a epidermal derivative. Okay, so the feather arises from this epidermal layer. We will learn about the development of feather in another video. So today we will just learn what is the structure of a typical feather. See, all of you have seen feather. See, this is a feather. Okay, this is a feather. You can clearly see that there is a central axis. This is the central axis, okay, which runs from bottom to tip of the feather. This central axis is known as the stem of the feather, okay. And there is an expanded leafy portion or thread-like portion, this portion, and this portion. This portion is known as vein or vexillum. So, when we are characterizing the structure of a feather, we can divide it into two parts. The stem or the central axial rod of a feather and the expanded portion or the vein or vexillum of a feather. Okay. So, see here, this black colored portion is the stem of a feather and this green colored portion is the vein or vexillum of the feather. Now, stem has two parts, okay. Quill or calamus and shaft or rachis, okay. So see here, from portion, from this portion to this portion, this portion of the stem is tubular in structure, semi-transparent and hollow. So see here, this portion of the feather, okay, this is semi-transparent, this is hollow and tubular. This portion is known as the quill or calamus of a feather. The quill or calamus of a feather consists of a aperture just at the bottom, okay. This aperture is known as the inferior umbilicus. So here, this is the inferior umbilicus of a calamus. And you can also find another calamus here, or another umbilical here. This black portion, this black dot is the superior umbilicus. Okay, this is the superior umbilicus. So, in the calamus, you will find two aperture, the inferior umbilicus and the superior umbilicus. Now see, the structure I have drawn here, it is the ventral portion of a feather. Okay, that means the feather has two surface. Okay, this is the dorsal surface and this is the ventral surface. See, if I draw it ventrally, you will find that the vein at this portion, the inner portion is broader and the outer portion is narrower. Okay, so this is the ventral structure of a feather. And at the ventral side here, you can see here, this is the superior umbilicus. Okay, this is the superior umbilicus. So you will find the superior umbilicus in the inner side or the ventral side of a feather. You will also find that there are some feather-like structures, some thread-like structures are present here in the superior umbilicus, which covers the umbilicus. Okay, these structures, these red structures are known as the hyporachis. Hyporachis. Okay, or after shaft. Why it is known as after shaft? Because from that level, the shaft is starting. Okay. So this is the calamus. Now coming to the next portion of the stem, the shaft or rachis. Shaft starts from this portion, the superior umbilicus, and goes up to the tip of the feather. If you cut the shaft, you will find a square transverse section which is full of mass of cells, pith cells. Okay, so this is the shaft is quite solid, but the calamus is hollow. That is the main difference between shaft and calamus. The calamus is hollow, whereas the shaft is solid. Now, you will find another structure here in the stem, that from the superior umbilicus, you will find a umbilical groove, okay, running along the ventral side of the shaft. This red line is depicting the umbilical groove. So, you will see that if this is the superior umbilicus, from here at the ventral side, a groove runs up to the tip of the shaft. That groove is known as the umbilical groove. Okay. Now, coming to the next portion of the feather. So, it is here all about the stem. Now, coming to the vein or vexillum. Okay. Now see, vein or vexillum. The vein or vexillum. You can find two layers of expanded feathery portion or the thread-like portion along the two sides of the shaft or rachis, known as the vein or vexillum. This green portion here and this green portion here is known as the vein or vexillum. Vein or vexillum is nothing but parallelly running some kind of threads or the laminar structure of a feather. Okay. The vein consists of various number of barbs or the rami. So, vein consists of barbs. Each strand of a vein, each thread-like strand of a vein is known as barb. So each strand of a vein is known as the barb. Okay. So if we just cover this portion or if we magnify this portion, you will find that this is the shaft or rachis here, okay, the middle portion, and then this is one barb, this is one barb, and from the barb arises two layers of barbules. Okay, so if this is a shaft, this is a barb, and this is another barb, you will find that from this barb some small thread-like structure will arise upper and at the lower side. These structures are known as barbules. So from barb arises barbules. Now, barbules of two adjacent barbs actually interacts with each other and interlocks. Okay, see, if these are the two barbs, you will find that from this barb there are some structures arising at the lower portion. They are known as, these green barbules are known as the proximal barbule. Okay. All barbules which are directed towards the base of the feather are known as proximal barbules. Whereas all barbules that are directed towards the tip of the feather are known as distal barbules. So these red barbules are known as the distal barbules, whereas these green barbules are known as proximal barbules. Okay. So here you will find that these barbules are distal barbules, this one, okay. But these barbules are proximal barbules. This one are the proximal barbules. So you will find that the distal barbule, the red ones, have some hooklet-like structures. Okay, hooklet or hamuli. They are known as barbicels, hooklet or hamuli. They look like this. See, if this is a distal barbule, then it has some kind of hook-like structures. Okay, those are known as hooklets or barbicels or hamuli. These hook-like structures actually interact with the proximal barbule. Proximal barbules, the end of the proximal barbules are grooved. So these hooks actually fits into the groove of the proximal barbule, and this kind of arrangement actually keeps the feather as a continuous sheet. Okay, so this arrangement of barbs and barbules makes the feather firm yet flexible, so that the bird can strike the air during flight with its feather. Okay, if there are some kind of gaps, it cannot strike the air during flight. That is what happens in kind of running birds like emu. They have feathers, they have barbs, but they do not possess any kind of barbules. That is why there is nothing like this kind of organization, this kind of interlocking organization between the barbules. That is why they cannot strike air with their feathers. Okay, their feathers are actually fluffy, so they cannot fly. That is the main reason. So I think it is now clear what are barb, what are barbules, and what are hamuli, hooklets, etc., etc. Okay, so barbules are of two types: proximal barbule, which are directed towards the base of the feather, and distal barbules, which are directed towards the tip of the feather. Okay, so with this we come to an end of our today's lesson. I hope it will be useful for you. If you like my lecture, please like, share and subscribe my channel by pressing the bell button below. And you can also find the description of the links of other videos in the description box, and those are also given in the I button above. You can also follow me on my Facebook page BioLive. Okay, so thanks for watching and happy learning.